Hi everyone. So today there's been a lot of questions about how to prepare for the November exam. I've done a video for the August exam. For the November CFA, let's say today is sometime in second week of July. I'm not sure when this video is going to be uploaded. Let's say this is mid-July and you're taking the exam somewhere mid-November. The window goes until November 17th or so. But let's assume there is 4 months for you to prepare from now until the CFA examination. So I want you to not consider the last one. That is the first mental adjustment that you have to make. Don't think about the last month for studying any new content. Right? So what that means is you only have 3 months to study any fresh new content. Most of you would have already started the preparation 3, 4, 5, 6 months back and would have covered some topics. By this time, ideally, you should have finished 6 topics. If you have not finished 6, that is still okay, that we can still get there. But how are we going to revise the topics you've already studied? Maybe you have covered 4, 5, whatever it is. How are we going to revise those and access new information? Work on that. So make sure we balance new information with revision. So now for our purposes, I'm going to assume you have studied 5 topics and you are yet to cover 5 topics. So whenever you are studying a new topic, you are attending a video lecture. That is usually the best way to learn, to get the concepts. So you're either coming in person to the class or you're watching a live video class, right? So that gives you a good understanding of the concept. When that is done, right away, the same week, ensure that you go back to your curriculum and finish the blue boxes and end of chapter questions right after that. Don't delay that. So try to wrap up. So the first thing you want to do with the current topics, each week, you are looking to understand 1 to 3 learning modules, depending on how your tutor, how your faculty is teaching. Make sure you cover that. Then as you are studying and understanding the concepts, maybe with the class notes, maybe with third-party notes, but that's all fine. But ensure you finish your end of chapter or your learning resource questions for that particular learning module. Now, this should typically take around 8 to 10 hours. The remaining time, so at this point, I'm expecting everyone is spending around 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours a day. So you are spending anywhere between 15 to 20 hours of study time per week. So the remaining 10 hours, we need to focus on revision. If you are working really long hours, then maybe it's 5. But if you are able to spend 10 hours a week, that will be ideal. So in this 5 to 10 hours, you go back to one of the earlier topics, particularly the ones where you have, you have covered it, but it's been a while. So go back to that, and I want you to review the class notes. This is the time to go into what we call as non-foundational study. So when you are studying first time, we are looking at foundational, which is blue boxes and curriculum notes or your class notes. Now, when we are reviewing, the way to solve this revision is to go back and glance through the curriculum, all your material, whichever one you're using, and see which topics you are not familiar with at this point in time. Then spend some additional time on those topics and solve practice problems on that particular topic. So for any particular topic you've already studied, at this point, you're probably spending 50-60% of the initial prep time. If it took 5 hours to finish one learning module, at this point, you're probably spending 2.5 hours to review. So this is not easy. It is not going to be half an hour. You're still going to be spending 50-60% of the time that you initially spent on the topic. And out of this 50% of the initial prep time, so let's say this is for one learning module. Let's say you are looking at equity valuation. and dividend discount model, free cash flow, how to do that. So this is a relatively large learning module. So I would say you need to allocate 3 hours. Out of the 3 hours, I would divide that into looking at areas which you are unfamiliar. So maybe an hour on that, and then an hour on ensuring that you remember the formulas. So write down the formulas, solve some problems so that you understand how to use the formulas. Then do practice problems for another hour. So divide your study time into reviewing concepts that you are not familiar, then formulate, ensure that you memorize the formulae. If you can't understand how it was derived, memorize it, solve some problems. The more problems you solve with the formulae, you will remember the formula. So if we continue down this approach, so here for a particular topic, now let's say currently you are now studying fixed income. It's going to take anywhere between 3 weeks to 4 weeks to cover that, right? But what did I say? Like for your revision, you're probably spending 50% of the time to review a topic. Now, let's say this is equity. You are reviewing what you covered a month or two back. Now, this should only take you 1.5 weeks. So you will be able to review 2 topics by the time you cover a new topic. So in the remaining 3 months, you are going to be covering 5 topics. That is 3 weeks for each topic in the 12 to 14 weeks, roughly 3 weeks for each topic. At the same time, you will be able to review multiple times the same topic because it's going to take you lesser and lesser amount of time for future revisions. This 1.5 weeks is for your first review. But let's say you have finished all the 5 topics that you've already studied. This should only take you 1.5 into 5, so some 7-8 weeks. So by August end or maybe mid-September, you would have reviewed all the old topics and you would have covered an additional 3-4 new topics. Now go back to the same topic. This is again in September. When you are doing this time it should take you only 25% of the time of the initial prep. So we are probably looking at 4 days to review the same topic, right? So this time we are talking about second review. And by the time you are done with the second review, this should only take a month for the second review. And this should be ideally done by mid-October. The second review, 4 days, 10 topics, you will be able to finish all of that by the time you are in mid to end of October. Now, after this, you are going to be taking mocks and solving a lot of problems, but that doesn't mean that you stop reviewing. Your goal should be to keep reviewing. The next time you are doing the review happens 2 days, then it becomes 1 day. Eventually, you are able to review all 10 topics within a span of a couple of days. So you just like go through it, glance and see just the formulas that you're not sure. So constant revision. By the time it is your November examination, you can review all the formulae, look at everything in a matter of a day or two. And the day before the exam, take it easy. Don't study anything. Anyway, you will do well if you have done this approach, if you have followed this approach. If you have any other questions, how to prepare for the next 3 months, do leave a comment below. All the very best.